So I've finally taken the time to start watching this show, and I have no idea how long it's going to take me. But I've seen so many things that I want to believe it's going to be just this incredible experience. And just in case it is, I want to document what I think of it as I watch it. I did this. I wish I had done the same thing for other shows that I've really liked, like Attack on Titan and stuff like that, and even movies that I've seen that I've really liked that I've been kind of hyping myself up for a while, and I don't remember how I thought of them when I first watched them, which is a real shame because there's some great stuff out there, and while this isn't something that I want to do on my main channel, I want to have this documented, and also it just might be entertaining for other people who've seen this show and who are looking for a newcomer's opinion for some reason. Because I do hear it's got a lot of foreshadowing and big moments and reveals. I don't know how true that is. I've heard that from a few sources, but to me, so far, it doesn't seem like the type of show to really do that. I don't know why. It's about a couple of guys making drugs. How big revelations could there be? That's what I'm thinking. But I don't know. I want to, just in case, I want to record this and we'll see, because I do have high hopes for it. I before I started watching, I wanted to know okay, what should I know ahead of time? Because sometimes I've seen questions like that asked, okay, before I check this out, what should I know about it? And usually the answers are pretty funny depending on what it is. And so I checked it out for this show, and it just made me want to watch it more. I was originally going to wait another month or two until I had crossed some other stuff off my to watch list. But then I bumped it up immediately because of the things I saw here. So I found a Reddit post. I literally just Googled what to know before watching Breaking Bad, I believe it was. Yeah. There's a point by point list here. It's a deleted user, so I would shout out the username, but I can't find it's apparently the account is gone. But it's an 11-point list of things I should know before I check out this show. So before I actually get to what I think of the first episode here, and by the way, let me know if you think I should rather do multiple episodes at once. I don't know. I've heard the show is very slow and it takes its time with telling the story, and so maybe I'll need to do a couple episodes at once. I don't know. For now, I think this is enough, but that's also probably just because I have a lot to talk about before I even get to the episode itself. So we'll see. I'm going to try and not read the comments, but I'm going to get someone else who doesn't really care to check it out and read them and let me know only the things that are really going to be important for me to know right now. And then once I'm done, I'll go through them all and I'll read them all myself. But just if you could let me know how many I should do at once, give or take, then I will take a look at that. And, we'll kind of go by that. Or I'll just feel it out myself. I don't know. I don't know how many people are going to really see this. It's not at all like my normal content, and it's on my second channel. So it's kind of a very personal project of mine. But the first thing here that I should know before I watch this is stay away from all online discussion, spoiler warnings or not. Avoid interviews, behind the scenes, spoiler-free discussion even. Just stay away, which obviously I've already broken that rule. But I find that really intriguing, because again, that kind of reinforces my idea of, there's going to be some big earth-shattering reveals here. Maybe not quite that bad, but I don't know. This has been really hyped up for me now, and maybe that's going to spoil my enjoyment of it. I have all these concerns about that. But point 2 is try to forget what you already know or think you already know, which I think is interesting. I wonder how, what I think I know about it could influence my experience of it based on how, if I was wrong about any of it or something. That seems suspicious to me. So what I know, I guess this is technically a spoiler warning, even though this is supposed to be a blind review. I have heard some things and I've seen some things. I saw a scene on YouTube, so skip ahead 10-20 seconds if you don't want to hear it, if you're new to this like me. I saw a quick scene on YouTube of the character Gus's death, who I don't know who he is, but I know he dies. And it's a cool scene. I don't know. But, so that's kind of a bummer, because I know he's going to be a big character, but, we'll see. And I think this one I'm okay with saying with no spoiler warning, because it's just a hypothesis of mine. I've seen all the memes, right? There's so many of them, and they're all over the place. And it looks like, and this is where I feel like the story kind of has to go, considering how it started and like the direction that it already feels like it's going in. It seems to me like by the end, Walter is going to be back at a low point. He's going to either die, he's going to be arrested, something bad is going to happen. I think it's going to end very tragically for him. I think this is kind of a big tragedy type of story. I don't see any other way that this could go. I was actually expecting it to be completely serious all the time, which there have been a few like almost comedic moments so far. I'll get to that more as we go. But moments that almost seem like they're played for humor, and I can't tell if that's just me and my weird sense of humor or if that's actually how it's supposed to be. I don't know. I wasn't expecting that. But point number 3 here is try to forget whatever you think you are supposed to think about it. Apparently, I'm just supposed to go into this completely blind without any sort of like, what's the word? No idea of what I'm to expect going in. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do that. Number 4 is forget what other people think, which is, by reading this, I'm kind of breaking that rule. But number 5, if you forget some detail and get confused, do not come here asking someone else to explain. Use your lazy fingers and go back and watch that part again. If that feels like too much effort, move on. Don't stick around and ruin it. Which I don't think is going to be a problem for me. I don't think that's going to be an issue, but we'll see. I feel it seems pretty easy to follow so far. I don't know how complicated it could get, but I don't know. I don't prefer to have to watch something again to actually know what's going on, but we'll see. Number 6, stay away from here until you're done watching the whole thing. I feel like that's kind of similar just to number 1. Number 7, do not come here as soon as you're done asking people to explain, like you're 5, the reasoning behind so-and-so's motivations and decisions, or the symbolism of what's-his-face's sock color. So I guess this is going to be like a really interesting character study, and potentially there's going to be a lot of symbolism as well, which I wasn't, again, something I wasn't really expecting. I don't know what I was expecting going into this, because that seems really complex for what I've seen so far. Like, it does seem like they're trying to tell a very interesting like story about this character, and really like trying to, like, it feels very grounded so far, and it you really forget you're watching a show, is my experience so far, because it one, and we'll talk about it, the performances have been really good, and it I don't know, it's been working quite well so far, but at the same time I wasn't expecting it to apparently go this deep, so we'll see. Number 8, instead think about it for yourself for a while, then if you want, come back and say, this is what I think and I'm interested to hear what other people think, but please don't come back and ask people here to tell you what to think. Are there some very controversial opinions that I could get swept up in? I don't know what to make of that. Number 9, the pilot has flaws. Didn't actually notice much of that. We'll get into that. Mostly I chalk it up to some poor choices in source music. Okay, I can kind of understand that. Again, we'll get to it. It will not give you a very accurate sense of what to expect. If you are not fully committed by episode 3, then a lot of it will probably be lost on you. So far, I feel like I want to continue watching. So, I mean, I think I'm good. Number 10, if all goes well, you can expect feelings such as frustration, aggravation, awkwardness, anxiety, insomnia, and manic episodes, as well as moderate to severe depression. These are normal side effects. And on that note, I think we should get going. So, as I mentioned, there's so many reasons that I actually started to watch this show. First of all, Better Caul Saul just ended, which means it's all out there. I can watch it all, and I've heard Better Caul Saul is actually better than this show, according to some people. So, it's all uphill from here. It seems like the type of show that only gets better over time, generally, which I'm really excited for, because that's so rare, and that makes me excited for it. Again, I'm going to mention this so much, but Attack on Titan did something similar. It kind of just gets better as it goes on, and provided this is the same way, I'm pretty excited about it. One of the reasons I want to watch it is because I've heard that in terms of reveals and foreshadowing and the way it tells its story, even though it's an entirely different type of story and an entirely different genre, it does have some similarities to Attack on Titan, and parts of Attack on Titan were based on this show, which makes sense because it's so popular. Even now, years after it finished airing, I don't know when it exactly aired, but it was a while ago, several years, probably over a decade at this point, I guess. if there's already been like a prequel series, which has been like just as long as well. It's gotta have been like over 10 years since it ended even. I don't know. Hang on. I should actually not look up anything about the ending, or I'm going to end up being accidentally spoiled. So what I really like about this first episode, and I was kind of, because I read that post, I was kind of expecting to maybe be a little underwhelmed by it, but I actually really liked it, and I think it's a really strong start. So maybe I'm gonna really like this by the time we get to the later seasons. It starts. I hesitate to say this because this is gonna be like the third reference so far, and we're only like 10 minutes in. The opening scene reminds me of Attack on Titan, where it's this big flash forward to an event that's about to happen, and it's kind of psyching up for that, and you wonder, like, how are we going to get into that situation? When I saw that opening scene, I figured, oh, this is going to be, like, something that's going to happen, like, at the end of Season 1 or something, because it seems very far off from where we actually start the like, sequence of events that kind of get to there. I could have even seen it being, like, something that happens at the end of the show, because it seemed like there were, like, bodies lying around, who now we know who they are. There was, like, he was wearing a gas mask, he was almost fully naked, driving the RV. I had a lot of questions about that, and it seemed like the type of thing that would take a while for us to get to. Nope. End of the first episode, and we've already established that entire scene. We're already going to find out what happens at the end of it, similar to Attack on Titan, so I can appreciate that. It's immediate payoff for that first scene, and, you know, you feel like you're going to get to see much more as time goes on. And it didn't, you know, after that opening scene with the sort of, like, I guess, cliffhanger of Walter, he's going to try and, I guess, shoot the cops, which they turn out not to be cops at all, but he's going to shoot them. And you're wondering, oh, what's going to happen? How is he going to get out of this crazy situation? And then you go to his normal life, and it's pretty standard, pretty depressing, and I can see why from that point on people would say it's kind of like a slow burn type of series. It takes a while to, you know, the pacing's slow. I did not personally see that. It was an hour-long episode, but to me it felt like it was more close to like half an hour. And I don't really know why that is. Like, it felt like things were established really quickly, and that's even considering that I knew where a lot of this was going. I knew that Walter was going to end up meeting one of his old students. I knew they were going to end up getting in the RV and getting up to all sorts of shenanigans. I knew all of that. I feel like I even knew ahead of time that he had, like, an inoperable, like, what was it, lung cancer? Yeah, lung cancer. I have the Wikipedia page open here in case I forget anything important. I knew a lot of that going in, but I still did not feel bored. I did not feel like it was taking its time. I did not feel like I wanted to get to the next thing, to the things that I didn't know ahead of time. So I think that's a really good sign, and it shows that it's really still good at hooking your attention, even if apparently I know all the things that are going to happen in the first episode, essentially. After this, though, apart from what I mentioned at the start of the video, I don't think there's anything else about the show that I know is going to happen. So I think we've kind of gotten past all the stuff that I knew from memes and just from knowing stuff from hearing conversation about the series. But, I don't know, when you first meet Walter, or not first meet, I guess, that would be the first scene, but after that, when you meet him in his normal life, you know, with his life as a chemistry teacher, and his son and his wife, and his secondary job, and you really do start to feel for him, and by the time where he's washing the car of one of his students, who's a real jerk, it really hurts to kind of see him have to go through that humiliation. It is not fun. And it kind of makes it more satisfying, I guess, once he kind of takes control of his situation. Mind you, by the end of the episode, he is in no means this, like, in charge of his situation kind of guy. He still has a lot of insecurities, and he still, like, seems like he is terrified of the situation he's gotten himself in and doesn't quite know how to handle it. But it already feels like he's making a ton of progression to be this more assertive and in control character. And I know that eventually it seems like he does end up more I keep saying in control of his situation, which I wonder at one point he's going to get there, and then where his character goes from there. But yeah, I wonder why exactly, because I know that teaching doesn't pay terribly well, but is it bad enough that you have to get like a part-time job yet too at a car? Like what costs are causing him to have to do that? I wonder. Like, it doesn't seem like he's living with a lot of luxuries in his life in the first place. And then he has a job as a teacher, which for any teacher I've met seems to be enough as a source of income. I wonder, because his son has cerebral palsy, if maybe that comes with extra costs, like medical stuff that makes it so he has to take on another job. I'm not sure. As a Canadian, how am I to say how much healthcare costs in America? It could be outrageous, and I've heard it is. I was kind of surprised to learn that he turned 50. I mean, it's not like he doesn't look 50. He looks like he could totally be that old. That's not why I'm surprised. Not that he looks old either, but it's just for him to be that far in life and then take such like drastic action to change his life for the better. It's not something that I was really expecting. I think there's even a character, I forget which one. There's a character in the episode that also mentions that, like, how he's that old, and it's Jesse. He says, "Oh, you're this old, and you're gonna what does he say? You're gonna break bad." Ironically, which was kind of what I was thinking too. Like, he's gonna do this now. It seems like, I don't know, midlife crisis, I guess, is probably what it is. But it's, he realizes he only has a few years left, so why not do his best to make things better for his family? And I feel like in this episode it isn't entirely shown very clearly the reason why he's doing this. He shows curiosity in it and in the money you can make from it, but it's never really clearly stated that the reason he wants the money is to make a better life for his family. It's definitely not for him, because he's not going to last much longer anyway. But I feel like it wasn't quite stated in this episode very clearly that it's to make a better life for his family after he's gone and after they have now no source of income. I assume that we'll kind of be more clear about that later on in the show, especially because at a certain point they're going to find out what he's doing, right? Like, that's, I feel, fairly obvious. His family's going to find out what he's doing. They're going to be very upset about it, I'm sure. They're not going to, understand why he's doing it. It's definitely a pretty morally bad thing to do. Obviously, his, it is his brother-in-law, right? I think, I can't find it here, but at a certain point, he's definitely going to find out as well. And then I wonder if they're going to have a sort of, like, almost like a rivalry where he's trying to escape capture and Hank is trying to capture him, and maybe it's going to be this sort of game of cat and mouse. I wonder. I don't think that's the type of thing they would do in this show. For some reason, that doesn't strike me as terribly plausible. I don't know why. But it's definitely important that he's a police officer and that he's actually the one who's busting these places. I mean, it's already come into play when the guys who they did bust earlier in the episode realize, oh, Walter was there when the place was busted. He was in the cop car. And, already that's how things start to go wrong in this episode. So it seems like it's going to play an even bigger role down the line. But yeah, I feel like the direction that Walter's character takes in this first episode makes total sense. There was no point where I found myself saying that his goals and the way that he got to this point was very unrealistic. If you take it out of context and you say, oh, this high school teacher ends up becoming like a criminal who's making meth in an RV. Without context, it sounds kind of crazy, like that would never happen, but it's done in a very natural way, and it totally makes sense how he would get to that point, even in the span of just one episode. The video message he records to his family is really heartfelt, and I wonder if that's going to come into play later, if that's going to be found later. Maybe even way after this, when it's forgotten, that camera is going to be found, and it's going to cause trouble. I would not doubt it, because I feel like otherwise it's weird that would happen, other than to just show his emotional distraught, or whatever the phrase is. I don't know. I like the detail of the police actually just being fire trucks and going right past him. I don't know where they were going, but I thought that was pretty funny. I don't know, just a complete red flag. It didn't feel very cheap at all. For a moment, it kind of felt like, oh, I guess it was nothing. But I don't know, it got kind of a laugh out of me. One of the moments that in this episode I couldn't quite tell if they were supposed to be played for laughs, but I chuckled anyway, partly because of the musical choice and partly just because I think it's funny. And, even though Walter's clearly still very insecure and he doesn't know what he's doing and he's kind of like in over his head, you can already see like these strokes of genius with how he, caused that like fire to sort of surprise the guys in the truck, and then he used that to get away from them and then end up killing them. Kind of a genius move on his part, and you can kind of see already he's got potential as this criminal mastermind. He's just not quite there yet, and I think he is going to get there probably sooner rather than later. Because, we're going to want to spend a lot more time, as much time with a character who's a criminal mastermind as possible, which I think we'll probably get there soon. I don't think that's going to be the type of thing to wait till the end of the series to get to. Because we also need time for his downfall, right? Which I assume is going to happen. I think that's all I have to say for now. I was expecting this to actually be even longer, but I think for the first episode, this is all I have to say, and I think it's a perfect length. It's, 20 minutes, that's nice and even. Thank you for listening to this entire thing. If you have, I'll be sure to do more soon. I'm going to have to watch a lot more, so, because I like it so far, so, it's good. I have this bright-eyed look of wonder in my face. We'll see how long that lasts. Thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.